So the spiritual exercises obviously make a great deal of use of imagination for prayer. One of the things that's said about the Jesuits is that their interest in theater, opera, ballet, the arts in general, played off of that desire to help people enter into the scene. If you think about the spiritual exercises as an exercise in theater, it makes perfect sense. What's also interesting is that when the Society of Jesus moves into popular preaching of the exercises, many times they would use what we would call audio visual aids to help convey the scene. So, for example, a meditation on hell, it was not uncommon to give that preaching in a church that had no lights. And at a certain point behind the altar, a fire would be lit that would give the glow of hell. And a Jesuit would burn sulfur and blow it into the congregation so that they would have a sense of sight and smell of hell. So that becomes the beginning of really a theatrical turn. The earliest opera or oratorio kinds of scenes in Italy and the colleges were usually done to entertain people who are waiting to make the visits to the 7 churches during Holy Week. And so they were almost entirely based on the Passion. And so once again, scripture was used. It was a way of bringing alive the scriptures that they were hearing and that were being preached on at the time, but in scenes. In the Missions, one of the most beautiful operas that I've witnessed was done by the Guarani, and it was a opera that was developed in their language on the life of Ignatius and Xavier in the context of the exercises, with the devil coming and tempting people away from the faith. And it was designed for confirming people in their faith and reminding them that they had to make that choice every day. And that opera was memorized by the tribes, so that after the suppression, when there was no contact with Europeans for generations, when explorers returned to that region, they could hear the same opera generations later. So clearly it was used to continue to help memory. One of the great debates in the early Society of Jesus was whether the catechism should be put to music. And the opposition to that was, well, Luther had already done it. So if the Lutherans were singing the catechism, then we shouldn't. And so the debate continued. But that didn't mean that we didn't create ways of helping people to learn, to visualize, to memorize the tenets of the faith.